the sixth episode of the PiP.
How's
we
it
have,
going?
yep, we have me again, and we also have, of course, Colin. But we also have a special guest, Josh. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Josh.
That
I
was
am
very
the best son.
menacing.
Thank you. Took inspiration from Hi, I'm Paul from the end of like Jimmy Neutron and such.
Hi, I'm Paul. What is it that you enjoy doing?
Oh boy. That's a loaded question. Really? Mainly just listening to music and playing and chilling with my friends including you and others, and really that's about it really as of late. Just like listening to music and trying to keep up with friends and talking to them.
Is there like any preferred task, or not task really, event or way that you like to activity, that's the word I was looking for, that you like to do with friends more than just by yourself?
By myself, I guess as of late, always been a huge, like, I guess you can say, what's it called? Party game type of guy. Like, I love being able to like sit with friends and play party games type of styles, like Mario Party and like Jackbox and stuff like that. Because I know y'all mentioned earlier in the I think earlier in the podcast, Colin, you were talking about the joys of like couch gaming with a friend, yeah. And I can't agree with you more on that. It's just something different being able to be there with friends and seeing their reactions when you do something cool, when they do something cool, or again playing Mario Party, seeing how they get heated when you steal their star, because that star is rightfully yours and not theirs.
Well, would you like to lead off with the heavy hitter questions, Colin, or do you want me?
Oh, you can start.
All right. Well, Josh, I am aware that you are very, like, into music and different types of bands, as well as you could possibly play an instrument. Is this true?
Yes and no. As my dad and old fiddle teacher has put, I have the talent and skill, in their words, to play an instrument, but I never had the compelling passion. To go further into background is what Jacob's saying. My dad has been playing guitar for 55 years now, going on 56, I think. He taught himself when he was 6. Formed the band in the early to mid 70s when he was a teenager, and has been playing guitar, like trying to play in a band since then. Once he had me, he stopped playing in bands a little bit, like once him and my mom got together, mainly because of just work and responsibilities, and he wasn't able to find like a group that he really jived with. But he taught me the basics of guitar, so I know the basic chords and notes and everything. I've just never really had a passion to learn further on it, and I tried a little bit, but talking earlier, I mentioned fiddle. I tried playing fiddle. Again, learned the basics of it and never really took it past that. And I took piano lessons as a kid as well. I wouldn't say I know the basics of that, but I know a little, but other than that, it's just I'm more so interested in like sound design itself. So I've done like actual soundboard work for like local bands and groups. So continue. Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine. You know what else you have?
I was about to say, so like I know a little about instruments. I know I can recognize when a instrument is into an out of tune, but as far as like playing and get into, you know, techniques and stuff like that, I know nothing of the sort.
No. Has there ever been a time where like you're listening to music, be it on a movie or anime or just anything that you run across where they're playing a certain instrument and you just like, oh my gosh, that's, if there was any song or instrument I could learn or play, it would be this song. Has that ever happened?
Yeah. Where this song and not this instrument?
So both. So has there ever been like,
okay.
Yeah, like
yes, actually. I two of which are actually instruments that I just mentioned, literally guitar and piano. Guitar's being such a big thing because again, my dad plays guitar. Literally was playing earlier today. He just goes downstairs, hook up his like 1980 something PV amp that he has downstairs in the basement and crank it up to like 10, and he just jams out. So when I was a kid too, he would play Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin and Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles for me, so I could like go to sleep easier type of deal. So like I have to say those songs kind of especially the live version of Stairway to Heaven it's just such an incredible spectacle. You're like, I don't know how you couldn't, you know, get like inspired. Like it's hearing guitar legends like Eddie Van Halen and Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and all of them play live. Like it's so easy to understand why there was such a big like musical boom during like the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s and 80s.
Speaking of Van Halen, have you heard that they're making a channel for him?
A channel? Like, what do you mean exactly by a channel?
It's pretty vague at this point, but they're talking about some type of channel for Van Halen and just content to populate it.
That would be cool. I know. What was it? I think it was Tuesday. I think the news of Eddie Van Halen dying. That one hit me and my dad pretty hard. I know as soon as I got home, we actually have a record player and I had Van Halen 2, and I just put that on and I just laid on the floor and just stared at the ceiling and just listened to it front to back. And my dad was hit pretty hard because that was one of his favorite bands when he was in high school. And he developed a lot of habits that Eddie has. Like, my dad used to be a smoker. He doesn't smoke anymore. But one thing he developed that Eddie does is Eddie used to actually, when he was playing, he would smoke a cigarette. And then when he needed to do some more technical stuff like hammering, he would actually take his cigarette out and actually like clip it onto the frets of his guitar. And my dad said he would do that quite a bit when he was playing. And a bunch of other like techniques and stuff. My dad said he found himself being influenced by Eddie Van Halen. But hearing that there's a channel, that would be really cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting concept. Like, you think of like Rolling Stones or Beatles because of just like their prestige, as it were. Like Van Halen has in itself a following, and he's awesome. But just the concepts of like all the material that the Beatles have like occurred over just the time of their existence, kind of thing.
I know Eddie Van Halen did a lot of technical stuff and also like a lot with sound itself. Like he couldn't get this for a lot of songs and whatnot with the technology they had back then. I know from like researching, he couldn't develop the sound that he wanted, so he would actually tweak pickups and his amplifiers and his pedals to get the sound that he wanted. And a lot of that now is like basic stuff now these days. Like he pretty much like reinvented these effects pedals and these amps and stuff like that, to where nowadays they're just like included in the bass amp, stuff like that. Like he's influenced like that side of like guitar industry basically.
So how should I word this? Is there some music that you think you've heard so many times and you may get tired of it, but you'll always end up coming back to it at the end of the day or something?
Oh, most def. Literally mentioned two of the songs, Stairway to Heaven and Here Comes the Sun. I can't count how many times I've listened to them, but because, you know, of what I mentioned before, my dad playing them to me when I was just a wee lad. They're just so near and dear to the heart. Like I can't really get tired of them. There have been songs most definitely I have gotten extremely sick of. And I could care less if I hear them again. Like Aerosmith, like Walk This Way, for example. They used to overkill that on the radio, and it's like, all right, I could care less if I hear this anymore. For a while, I think Gimme 3 Steps by Leonard Skinner too. They overplayed that to death. I get on the point where I can listen to that again, unlike Walk This Way, but there's been so many growing up listening to the radio with Dad. There's just been so many songs that they've just overplayed. It's like,
So, are there any TV shows that you watched as like a child that you still think about today? Maybe you'll rewatch them sometime soon.
Oh gosh, any TV shows? There's so many.
Going along the lines of media and all. So
yeah, that was really, as a child, it was music, Pokemon, and TV basically for me. OG Pokemon. I guess that I was again huge into Pokemon, the Pokemon Johto, the Indigo League, just the OG Pokemon series. Code Lyoko, that's another one I thoroughly enjoyed as a child.
Code Lyoko was really good.
My favorite one, and it's odd how this was my favorite. I got scared of it, but mainly because I was a huge scaredy cat as a kid. I still am, but I'm able to watch horror more now than I was as a child. But Courage the Cowardly Dog, it was probably one of my favorite shows. Trying to think of more. There's so many. Avatar: The Last Airbender, of course. I actually finished rewatching that a few months ago.
Did you pick up Korra right after?
I have yet to watch Korra. I've heard a lot of mixed things about Korra. More so leaning on the side of like good than bad, but like still mixed nonetheless, I guess you can say.
I would phrase Avatar as a kid, like just a normal kid learning how to be an avatar. But I would phrase Korra as an avatar learning how to be human.
Okay.
Like she knows her duties as the avatar and how to fulfill them, but she doesn't know how to do it while being like, well, essentially being a human and not just a vessel for this, enormous power. So
I know one of the shows, one of the early shows I remember watching, and I can't remember which one it was because I kind of watched them so near to each other, but it's what got me into anime. Like, of course, Pokemon, is like an anime, but me playing the games before watching I watched the show before playing the games, but I knew they were the game as well, so I didn't make that connection, like that this is anime, this is just a cartoon. The one that I made a connection was like, this isn't a cartoon, this is something different, which I would learn to be anime, was Gundam. And I can't remember if it was the original Gundam or Gundam Wing. I watched both of those relatively close together, and I can't remember which one I saw first.
Because they start showing Gundam, the original, like on like adult, not or late night Toonami.
Yeah, like
Gundam Wing got the early Toonami, and then late night when it was like uncensored.
And I just can't remember which one it was, but I remember, again, like I said, both of them was like kind of near the time frame of each other. It's just so far back, my memory just doesn't necessarily work that well.
On the topic of anime, though, what is your top 3 2020 anime that have come out?
Top 3 2020? Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think of any 2020 animes that I watched. Hang on, let me get on my phone and go to the good old anime website, aka Crunchyroll, not sponsored. I have to say one of them, it's actually one that I'm reading right now too, is hang on, let me find it. Rent-A-Girlfriend. I've actually been watching that. That's actually like a really good like rom-com type of deal. It's oddly funny. About just this dude, he dated this girl, and I think they dated for like a month to 2 months, and like she broke up with him, utterly devastating him. And so basically, to kind of get back on his feet, he rented, because in Japan, they have rental services. So he rented a girlfriend. And it just so happens while he was on the date or whatever, his grandma, I don't think she fell ill. I think she just fell and hurt herself. And so she was admitted into the hospital. And so he brought her with him in a hurry. And so they're like, so his grandma and his parents are there, and they're like, who's this? And he just goes, my girlfriend. And so basically the show is just revolving of how they're having to keep up this facade of them dating, and he eventually realizes that he actually does love her and not his ex. And the manga's way further into it, and so he actually builds as a person and tries to support her dream and support what she wants to do, as well as not trying to like just be selfish and have like a how can I get her to fall in love with me type of deal. Again, I have to say, I think it was the first podcast y'all were talking. I've had a bunch of friends recommend this to me. The second season of Re:Zero. That's up there. And really, the latest season of Sword Art Online, Alicization, it started off really strong, but kind of ended kind of weak. Kind of disappointed in it, but it started off really, really good. And I have to say, like, that first part of Alicization is the best Sword Art season.
I think Alicization, the first part was the 2019 though.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Oh no.
You've broken the rules, and now you must pay.
Oh no.
Well, on the topic of Sword Art like Online, what do you feel about SAO Progressive coming out?
I've heard nothing about that.
Oh. SAO Progressive is a redone first season of SAO floor by floor.
So basically how SAO should have been?
Yes. That is exactly what I refer to it as.
As well, yeah, that's basically how it should have been. Because I think they did like the first maybe 5 floors, and then all of a sudden they're on like floor 40.
It was something like that. Like they progressed really fast, and I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities there. Well, Khalid, would you like to lead into like a different subject entirely, or?
A little bit, but I want to actually, since you did bring up Courage the Cavalry Dog, I'm a few steps back.
Oh yeah.
How did you feel about the music of that show?
Oh, dude, I'll have to listen back to some of the music now because again, the memory's kind of fading on some things, but like the most recent one I remember, it was good, very good ambient type of deal. I even though like some of this stuff scared me, I still thoroughly enjoyed it type of deal. Because I remember there was one girl named, one of them, I can't remember, but was her name Kitty? I think her name was Kitty, but it was like these two cat people in a sense.
Yep.
I'm trying to like reunite. And they weren't. I forget what made that episode like a little scary because I want to say there was some antagonistic features in there. I just can't remember. But when they reunited, everything was resolved. But like the music, I remember the music in there actually making you feel really sad that they're being apart and that they're looking for each other and that they're so close yet so far away type of deal. And then other times I remember the Flan episode. And that chase scene where this, really round dude is just chasing Courage while he has Muriel. And other chase scenes, just the music having this sense of urgency of like, he needs to get away, he needs to run away.
So there's 3 that come to mind that right now all the episodes escape me, but the descriptions might help. So one involves King Ramses, where he finds a cursed tablet.
Yes.
So the song itself is really goofy and silly. Sings about King Ramsey, the man in gauze. But what makes that episode so creepy is that when Ramses is there, they have it so he's like speaking this ghostly tone, calling back for the tablet, and it's really strange and just like he's made out of CG and he's just really weird and just stark against the background. But then there's another one where I think it's a gerbil, I think is the bad guy in this episode. Like I think he's like a guinea pig and he's trying to experiment on them. But the episode, there's a part where they're on like sea-doos, like jet skis.
You're bringing faint memories.
And so like there's like female vocalization and it's really just operatic, and then they go off the side of a waterfall, so all of it just stops and then they just play the sound of a waterfall, and it's just the most,
I remember that. Yep.
Beautiful thing. You're just like, wait, this show is hitting some notes. I think the last one would be, it's a tower and they're making everyone sad with these weird cannonballs.
Yes. Oh yeah. And it's a bunch of rats, I think.
Yeah, so right when they start sending the cannonballs to make people feel happy again, it's all just quiet, and they're just playing this beautiful music that is. You have to take a step back because you're like, oh my gosh, this is Courage the Cowardly Dog, but the music is gorgeous to it. And like, there's no sound, there's no like sound effects or or like actual like voices. It's just the sound of these things flying, or not just the sound of this music of this stuff happening. Really gorgeous.
I remember those cannonballs, the happy cannonballs were pink.
Yeah.
I think my favorite episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog was when Muriel turned into a kid again.
I was just
yes, that was such a good one.
Like, too much macaroni, not enough cheese.
I think the best line, I mean, it was just Courage is like, I guess you could say it's like his like catchphrase. He didn't say it in every episode, but he said it in enough episodes. Which, the things I do for love.
Oh yeah, that's
basically how he said it, and it's just like, yeah.
Can relate, Courage. Can relate.
But also, I really liked how they, again, I think what drew me to that show, even though I was afraid of things, was how well I didn't realize it then, but like looking back now, is like how well I related to Courage, being able to be afraid yet still, carry on. Because like I said, I was just a huge scaredy cat, but seeing the show, I'm like, well, Courage is just as big as a scaredy cat, if not bigger than I am, but he's still,
but he's
can be the hero in a sense.
Yeah, because the thing is, Courage isn't just with the absence of fear; it's doing something in the face of fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's like his name wasn't as much of an oxymoron than just doing exactly that, But as a small confession there, Jacob, I would say that Malos, there are bits and pieces of that Muriel kind of sprinkled within his character.
I can tell. Maybe that's why I like Malos so much.
I love that crossover event we did.
That was wonderful.
Him trying to mess up our Dragonborn.
So, what is your favorite all-time? Actually, no. Let's start out with what got you into D&D to begin with.
Honestly, I don't know. I think I mentioned to Khaled this at work. It was something I kind of just knew about, and I don't know when I heard about it. It was always there for me. Like, I just always knew it, and I don't know where I heard it. Probably from my dad, because my dad's a pretty big nerd, and so when I told him, I was playing D&D with you. For those who don't know, Jacob is my DM. He goes, oh yeah, I remember, because my mom was asking like, what's D&D, and my dad actually kind of explained it to her, because he remembered the first edition coming out, actually, and dabbling in it a little bit. So I think I probably heard it from him. But like I said, I kind of grew up just knowing it was there. And I've always wanted to play, but I didn't know anyone who played around our area, and I didn't know how to like get in contact with anyone. So it wasn't until when I went to Virginia Tech, I became friends with this guy named Andrew, and we got talking, and we kind of really just hit it off. And all of a sudden we found out like, oh, you like D&D? I like D&D, type of deal. And he goes, well, actually, I'm getting ready to DM a campaign. Would you like to join? I was like, yeah. And I created my first character named Truk. That's spelled truck, but the U has an umlaut over it. Truk Firebeard, a dwarf paladin. And we played, I think we played that whole year till about I'd say finals came around, and then studying and whatnot, crash course studying, kind of just put it on hold. And then I think 2 players, I know we lost our ranger. We had a ranger. I want to say someone else couldn't make it, so we just kind of put it on a hiatus. And then I came back here, so I don't know if they ever finished that campaign or not. But yeah, it's just kind of something I just knew in the back of my head.
Do you have a question now, Colin?
Well, you were asking a question before that about his favorite.
Okay, this is true.
Yeah.
What is your favorite all-time D&D? So there's 3, right? D&D enemy, moment, and character or ally. It doesn't have to be like your character. It can be just an ally.
I know the character, the allies. I think there's going to be a tie between 2. I'm going to go for the moment first because I know that right off the back of my head. The D&D campaign that Andrew was DMing, there was this guy. It was actually his childhood friend. Can't remember his name, oddly enough. I hate that, but I remember his character very well. So we kind of created duality characters. So I created a dwarf who was 5 foot tall, which is like one of the tallest a dwarf can be. So by dwarf statutes, this dude's huge type of deal. He's a giant. While he created a 5 foot elf, which is kind of where I got some inspiration for Rue when I was creating Rue originally. He created a 5 foot elf. So we're the same height, but by elf standards, this dude's short. Like he tiny. But he was a wizard named Winston the Wizard. That was his whole title. And he was very old. I can't remember his exact age because again, elves lives to be like hundreds of years old. I want to say he was above the 500 year mark. His name was Winston the Wizard. He had like long flowing, like he had a long-ish hair. I can't remember. I don't think it was exactly like really long, but I think it was longish. Golden blonde, but he had this man was completely naked for the most part, but he had a long and flowing beard enough to where it would just cover his genitalia. So he had like the curly handlebar mustache. And so we get roofied in a tavern, and now that I say this, that's usually how my D&D campaigns start now, I feel. Because that's exactly how our campaign started. But we get roofied, pass out, we wake up in this dungeon. We escape, but again, we're still in this dungeon. So we escape the room where we're being held captive at. And Andrew's telling us the room. So the first room we chose was actually a lucky guess because we were guessing between these 2 rooms. And that was actually like the equipment room. So we got all of our equipment. So Winston just had his equipment literally was a staff, and he had a robe, but it was just like an open robe type of deal. So like the middle was still like you could still see his chest and everything, but his beard just covered that. But from there we leave into another room, and it turns out it's like a small barracks, and there was three or four of us in there, and there was the same number of guards sleeping. And so we decided to assassinate them while they're sleeping. So we make stealth rolls. I have chainmail, so that being said, I have disadvantage on roll. So I have to roll twice with disadvantage. I pass it. Winston the Wizard rolls, and he's practically naked, mind you, rolls a nat 1. So the dude he gets ready to assassinate wakes up And before our DM is able to say anything, like he wakes up in a startle and reaches, and man just cuts him off and goes, I cast Prestidigitation and Mage Hand to make him believe that he's dreaming. And our DM just looked at him in awe. And because he's like, with Prestidigitation, you can, I can't remember the exact effects, but you can cast things like mini fireworks and stuff like that and change like the color of lights and whatnot. So that's what he was doing. He was changing the color of the lights in the rooms and doing all this other stuff. And he's creating Mage Hand to lift small items to make it look like they're floating and whatnot. And Andrew made him roll a performance check, and he got like a nat 20, and the dude believed he was in a dream and went right back to sleep. And Winston the Wizard inserted his knife into his throat so he could sleep eternally.
Well, at least he got a good night's rest, let's be honest here.
He did, and I have to say that's probably my best one, because it was just, like I said, he immediately had like this back, like he knew he was going to fail and just had this immediately just thought up of type of deal. And because when he said that, Andrew just went, I'm going to let you roll for that, honestly, because like it impressed him that much that he was able to immediately think of that. And so it just showed like quit thinking on the player's behalf and whatnot. My favorite allies, I would have to say, is a mixture between Winston and I have to say Grokmar. I have to give it out to Grokmar. Winston, being a wizard, he very much a very powerful opponent, but also utility wise very helpful, and just the way that dude played him was just very entertaining and funny. And then in our current campaign, we have our friend Trey. He plays is it a half orc or an orc?
That is, Grokmar is a full orc.
He's a full orc? Okay. A full orc bard. When you think bards, you usually kind of think like a very... You think Dandelion from The Witcher type of deal. I guess that's the best... that's the best description I can think. You think of Dandelion from the Witcher series, whether it be the books or the TV show or the games, whatever you've seen them in.
Grokmar, though. Grokmar is more like the mountain in comparison.
Yeah. But he still has that Dandelion charm. And like this man, I think Trey has he has like a plus 11 or a plus 13 to athletics.
Yeah, because the bard gets like plus half or whatever. Something crazy.
Yeah, because he has like a 20 in strength, right? Or something close to it.
Yeah.
Which is by no means a normal bard build. But seeing how Trey plays that character is just... He has... I forget what his intelligence is, but it's the lowest intelligence, to where I think he has a negative modifier to it.
I think he has
but he's so dumb he's smart type of deal. I guess my second favorite moment in D&D is we were literally one of our first side quests we were to do was to fetch this ore made only by fire giants, which are a chaotic good, right, Jacob?
I don't think so.
You don't think? I can't remember.
They're evil.
Okay, like evil, even better for the purpose of the story. And so Trey's character Grokmar is actually fairly well known in the world of our D&D campaign. He's made himself known for a traveling bard, because even through all that muscle, he's very talented, a very skilled musician. And we go over there, we're having a bargain with these fire giants for this ore, and they're like, why should we give it to you, blah blah blah. And Trey just goes, well, this man told us to give you this. And they're like, "Oh my God, are you Grockmore?" And he goes, "Yeah." And they're like, "Can you play us a song?" And he goes, "Yeah." And like he rocked so hard, they're like, "Bruh, you can have extra. We love you."
To be fair, Josh is not under exaggerating that. Like, not under, whatever.
Oh,
Trey literally just responded with, "Yeah."
He's like, "You Grockmore?" "Yeah." And it's just like, and again, he was the one who figured out that stupid riddle of Jacob's. We're in this abandoned temple of Tempest, and we get up to this statue of Tiamat, right?
Yes, it was Tiamat.
Yeah, it was Tiamat, and he gives this stupid riddle, and Trey's like, "Oh, I just turn around and exit the room," and that was the answer.
Yeah.
It was a stupid answer.
It made you think. Made you think.
I hate you for that. I hate you for a lot of things in our campaign. They're wonderful, but like at the same time, like, oh my God. Wow. My favorite enemy though, that's a little bit tougher. Probably actually the crossover event, the Knight and Tiamat duplicate combo that we had to face. That was a really, really cool boss fight, and probably our most dangerous boss fight that our I know at least our group has faced. Because I know, definitely. I think you said it too, Jacob, but I know I had the thought. I'm like, man, every one of us might die here.
I remember telling you, I was like, you think you're good. I don't think you're ready for what's gonna happen in Colin's campaign or in the crossover. And he's like, I remember you saying, well, it can't be too much harder than yours. I remember you saying that, and I was like, you haven't played in Colin's game. It can get hard.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, because I think the only game that you played was with the
that one shot that you did.
The one shot, yeah, for Jacob's birthday. In Iberon.
The not so one shot.
The not so. It's always kind of conflicting because one shots by their nature are quite railroading. I mean, they just have to be if you're trying to get through it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'm just happy if everyone had fun playing it, then I'm fine.
Dude, that was a blast, no lie.
I did enjoy it.
I love my monotone Ganassi.
Oh yeah. You were you a fire one or was I the fire one?
I was the air one.
Oh, that was it. You was air and I was earth, and you were handing everyone like what, crystals or stuff?
No, I was constantly. Pavement? Maybe. Oh no, I had rocks levitating around my feet.
That's what it was. And you were just like, here you go.
I would also pick up Matt. He was playing, I think those characters were randomly generated.
Yeah.
Understate. Jesus, those things. Like,
there was someone really bad.
What was it? A cleric, monk, paladin, something like that. Like, it was 3 multi-classes. Everyone was either Genasi, and there's 2 Eric Croa. It was just like what is going on with that thing?
I want to say someone was like a paladin or a fighter and had negative modifiers for strength.
That might have been Mary.
And it's like that just goes against everything.
So yeah, just that concept was like, well, it's not the same as me running one shot for them to run a crossover. It could get dangerous, as it did.
Oh, it did all right. Goodness.
Got some cool armor out of it.
That Trey gave you.
My horse is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, who do you want to give this to? Josh or Mary? You.
But okay.
and you're like, well, if you insist.
I wasn't gonna let it at first because I didn't think Kyle would allow it. But then Kyle was like, yeah, he can do that. And I was like, well, I kind of want it, so.
It's a cool armor set, no lie. From what y'all explained it.
I think the rest of my party gets annoyed with me when I talk about it. Because I'll constantly be like, my horse is faster than all of yours. And then I'll be like, she hit like, my head off and ripped my head off. Because it's Dullahan armor.
It's literally like a Shadowmare from Oblivion and Skyrim. Because I think the speed factors on Shadowmare is actually faster than any other horses.
Yeah. That thing can move like 80 feet movement speed. It's not slow.
Well, Kyle, do you have any questions for
him? So with, do you follow a lot of like D&D nudes there, Josh? Like just when it comes to like, what comes down the pipe?
Usually what I hear comes from you or Jacob pretty fast, actually. Y'all are, I guess you can say y'all are always so studious with that I know I hear a lot from Jacob, especially like usually when something big comes out, Jacob's like, yo, listen to this and stuff like that.
That was a very good Jacob impression. I just want to like that was.
He's like, you got bud.
Like there was like a split second where I'm like, is Jacob in on the answer? Impressive. There was a split second.
And when I'm excited, I always start out with, bro, come on. Hey, yo.
So, because I know, what is it? Is it Tasha? Is that it?
Oh. Yeah.
That's coming out.
Definitely is going to get a pre-order from me. I'm going to see, because I would like to go to B&D, the local comic book spot, and actually see if they will pre-order it for me. But
I remember you saying at work too, you wanted to see if they can get like the original cover of it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wait, the alternate or what?
The original.
Now I'm confused.
What?
What do you mean by original?
So the regular, so just the basic cover shows Tasha with her witch's hat on, like with some conjuring out of a concoction of her cauldron. Ooh, those pros. But yeah, so she's conjuring out of the concoction of her cauldron. That's just the generic cover. Then the variant has it where it's just like it shows her, then there's like an elvish face and another face behind that, and it's just kind of a collage kind of drawing. A lot of times when you do a pre-order, they'll give you the special variant, depending. Sometimes it's a part of like events, and other times they'll actually have it for pre-orders. And I don't want the pre-order version. I want just the regular one.
Well, you can do that on like Amazon though.
You can tell them, give me that.
Yeah, because on Amazon it's listed as two separate items. Like the alternate and then the regular, so.
Alright. I'll definitely have to look into that, because, yeah. Should be interesting.
So,
think you go.
What?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask Josh, would you be willing to be in on the giant guest Tasha's Cauldron podcast?
Yeah. Most stuff.
I'm sure you've heard that we're going to have a lot of our players, all together.
Ooh.
Talking about it. So we'll let you read through it and everything.
Crossover Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's not fair. There won't be anything in danger for you.
I think that's totally fair. I think we deserve a moment of respite, right? That's
No.
the correct saying. No? Oh. It's even worse hearing that from my DM. I have to say one thing, speaking of D&D, one thing I'm looking for, I don't know how you're exactly doing at college with yours, but Jacob is progressively, since this is Spooktober, month of the spooks, we are progressively getting spookier and spookier till we get the pinnacle, since Halloween is on a Saturday, which is the day we do our D&Ds. Actually, Halloween would be the spookiest D&D session we'll have, apparently, according to Jacob. And leading up to it just gets spookier and spookier. And last week's was there was a nice little spook there, type of deal.
So like with that, it's actually kind of funny. So they did have to deal with a beautiful amalgamation, a flesh golem that was also an iron golem. And
so it's just like flesh and iron.
Yeah, flesh and iron. A very sympathetic creature for the most part, but flesh golems are very Frankenstein in aesthetic. Lightning heals them, they're afraid of fire, things like that. But the thing that gives me the most joy is that, so the party this was just kind of a sidetrack, so they'll just find something and then go to the main idea of Chandelier was their quest point.
See ya?
Oh yes, well there is a world, so it's technically not wrong. There is a Sia that's an NPC that they like, and then there's also both things were created separately, and then the beauty that is Sia made them into one thing for me to enjoy. And then someone made it into a Toad version, which I enjoy even more.
It's very true.
But like, so that was the plan: go to find this fabled city that people talk about in whispers, very fantasy. But they found a picture, large painting, and their idea is now to go into this painting, and the painting leads them to Shadowfell. So the party inadvertently made it into a Halloween game, which I thoroughly love. So you know what I mean? Like, just my
yes.
Like my love.
You continue.
Go ahead.
You continue. I will do it.
That's it. What are you saying?
So did you have a chance to listen to the audio at all?
Not yet.
All right. Do I get my inspiration that you so kindly said I could have last podcast?
Did you verify that you had 3 ideas? All 3 of those ideas were yours?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like he's just saying that.
I'm not.
Don't believe him.
I listened and I interjected all 3 ideas. The Noah not being able to be tracked within the Shadowfell painting, saving the town in the Shadowfell, and there was another one that I forgot. There was a third though.
Also, now to listen to the podcast. But yeah, so I like that one, and I've said before that that's actually one of my favorite games. Was when they went to the Shadowfell for the first time. I think it played out really well, using a lot of like music, ambience, and so forth.
Wait, I remember the third one. The third one was the item that Cody was looking for could be in the Shadowfell. That was it.
What is the item that he's looking for?
We don't know.
Oh,
he wants something from the wizard Kanto that can help him with his Oathbreaker spells or abilities of necromancy.
It's a wizard Kanto, so is he going to choose Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur?
Yeah, something like that.
So Kanto would have taken Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Pikachu and kind of merged them together.
Oh no!
So that's the aesthetics of Kanto is that he liked to remix things. So when they were in there, he made these little grimaced faces that walked on 2 feet, the size of volleyballs. But if they're disturbed, they just explode.
Edward, that's the image you put in my head, and I hate you call it Edward. Freaking what's her name for Full Metal Alchemist?
Oh no! See, that's great. So there's a wizard that became it's just like a fanboy to Kanto. He just loves Kantos, but Kanto died about 150 years ago. Well, 125 years ago, I should say, in that wizard's time. And the wizard took an orphan and took a dog and some other things and made this creature.
No.
And this creature is described as a small humanoid-esque thing that has like the features of a dog on its like head to about its rib cage. But its hands are these like chimpanzee paws. Its eyes glow a luminescent blue color. It has 3 rows of teeth, but its back legs are actually human, and it has a prehensile.
Don't tell me it stands on 2 legs.
It walks on all 4s. It can, but it usually just walks on all 4s.
That's
and it has
still
a prehensile lizard tail.
You have created a monster. That was not that wizard's creations. That was all yours.
True. You know how it goes. DM is the world is the DM.
And the worst part about that monster, that is Nogi that you're describing, right?
That is Nogi, yeah.
Okay. Trey befriended Trey plays Gion. He befriended it just to abandon it again.
No! No!
Wait, did Trey confirm that he doesn't have it, or?
I asked him, and he said he doesn't have it. And then I asked him if he wanted it, and he was like, I said no. I was like, okay then.
That's horrible.
He did Nogi dirty.
In front of a squad. Damocles Chapter 2.
But yeah, so because there was a time where they were trying, this is like right before they could get to the tower and deal with the big bad of this world, but there's like, oh, there's a giant stone golem. This is when they're like level 5 or 6, maybe 5, and there's just a giant stone golem that is described as always shuddering every once in a while, a little shudder as it's doing stuff. And so they're like, okay, dealing with it, and Cody runs defense while everyone is trying to figure out this puzzle or climb. And I say that the teeth that are grinning open up, and out pours a black pudding out of this golem's mouth.
So chocolate pudding?
No, black pudding, a disturbing type of ooze in D&D. And it
doesn't taste well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting in your body, you're not going to taste anything after a while. But yeah, so in that concept where it could retract it in, so they're like, oh, it's a golem. A stone golem's already something we can't deal with. And then introduce black pudding, which most of the party have dealt with, and it's not the most pleasant of creature. But, so, I don't know. So I think it's really great that they are back in the Shadowfell for Halloween time. Makes me smile a little bit.
Can I... Oh, well, we're back at the house. I would like to state that I did pick up another ooze canister.
Oh, okay.
And when we're going into the Shadowfell, Malos can't come. He has to be taught. That's canon.
Oh, okay, you
don't... He's like, I'm not endangering baby boy.
No, baby boy. I feel like he's like 2 steps away from turning to that dark, grim guy that was riding the baby Tiamat. And I don't want him to go into a world of darkness. that
That
push him
boy's a
further
loose
that way.
cannon. All I can say, he is a straight loose cannon.
He's a dragon, bro.
Loose cannon. You come back, he's gonna have like a dagger sheath, like a revolver, but it's gonna be a dagger. And he's gonna have like a big mustache and reflective glasses. Miles, you're a loose cannon. Says something.
I feel like he's just gonna bother Yan me some more.
You don't want to introduce him to the little orphans?
Did you
Crap,
just say
now I
Yammy,
got
Jacob?
No, Yan me.
Oh, I thought you said Yammy. I was thinking
Now I got to.
Bleach.
You can't. But I feel like you're saying. To be decided.
Don't fall into the coercion.
That
Coercion.
one. Malos is to be decided.
The thing last time they kept Tierfer from going there.
Yeah, Tierfer isn't. He's not too big on the radar nowadays.
He has some stuff going on, so I'm always, even if I don't mention characters, there's always gears turning and machination happening for them.
Well, it is 11:30. Time flies.
Oh yeah. You know what time it is?
It be that time of day, time of night.
You want me to introduce it?
Absolutely.
All right. So I don't know if you've listened to our podcast before, Jake or Josh. So
Right, I'm a regular listener. I have to say.
awesome. We appreciate it. So this is the segment. What are you watching, playing, reading, listening? So watching. What's on your radar for watching?
Watching. Not much. I'll start watching a lot of TV, more so just streaming stuff, type of deal. So I'll watch various streamers at times. But in terms of anime, ReZero, whenever that comes out. Right now, I'm actually watching Danmachi. English version is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Mouthful. But like it honestly, it's a good anime, and season 3 has just come out, and I've never finished watching season 2, so I'm finishing that up. Only got like one more episode of that, I think. And The Boys season 2. I have to say those are predominantly 2 that I'm watching.
The Boys is good. That's a really good show.
Are you watching The Boys again because Zach brought it up?
No. Like I said, I told him like I finished episode 2 when he brought it up that night. Because season 2 just came out. Like they just aired the last episode. I think earlier this week they finally released it. That mainly was what I was waiting for too before I actually start watching it, because I kind of just want to binge watch it instead of having to wait per episode. I don't have HBO, unfortunately, because I really want to watch Lovecraft Country. And hearing y'all talk about it on the podcast kind of just makes me want to watch it more.
That's definitely a good watch. What about playing?
Various things. We've been playing a lot of Phasmophobia with the boys. For those of you who don't know, it's literally a ghost hunting simulator game. And you bring in items, EMF readers, video cameras, photo cameras, thermometers, motion sensors, and everything like that. And you go into the level, which you pick beforehand, so it can be a house, asylum, or school, basically, or there's a farmhouse too, and you have to figure out what type of ghost it is. And there's a lot of ambient horror to it, I'd say, and instead of like jump scares. And then the ghosts themselves can be kind of scary, because it can get actually scary when you're kind of goofing off, and all of a sudden your flashlight starts flickering, so that gives you the sign that a hunt is going on, and so the ghost is basically trying to find someone to kill, and you have to run away. It's kind of funny because next thing you know, we're all trying to run, and then we'll hear someone scream, and that someone's usually me or Noah.
Because I lock you in a room.
But no, you either lock us in a room or you open the door to our room, allowing the ghost to get in.
Somehow doing that, though, the ghost never gets me. It always is like, why, thank you, my good sir. And then goes and gets one of you guys.
We've been playing Warzone a bit, Siege, Baldur's Gate 3 just came out, so we actually just started. We were supposed to start with all four of us, but Noah, for some odd reason, decided he had better things to do tonight, and we decided to start without him. It was me, Jacob, and Trey. And it's fun, but you can obviously tell it is an early access game. But to me, that kind of just, I love buggy games in a sense. I don't know why, but
it gives it character.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it. Solo wise, I'm kind of switching between like Yakuza 0 and Dragon Quest 11, finally finishing that game up. Well, finally finishing both of those games up. There's just so much to do with both of them, especially Yakuza. You really, at first glance, it doesn't seem like it, but it's so packed.
Yes. Like, I was playing the PlayStation? No, sorry, Xbox 360. One of the versions of the earlier version of Yakuza, and I found myself doing a dating sim.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm supposed to be fighting the mafia? What am I doing?
Wondering if Miko's gonna call me back and we're gonna go on our date. I'm just like, okay, I need to take a step back. I'm changing from being a gangster out on revenge to being a host at a host club, trying to get the biggest bottles sold. I'm like, okay, we need to reevaluate what we're doing here in this game. What about reading? What are you reading?
Reading? A lot, actually. I've been reading a lot of manga, and actually an actual book as well, book series. Last week or week before last, can't remember, I actually finished up the first book of The Witcher. That is actually, and I need to go on the hunt. I was at Walmart or Target one buying just some food for me, actually, and I just went in the book aisle just to see, they had anything, and I saw The Witcher, and it just caught my eye. I was like, I want to get this because, I played the games. I enjoyed the games. And by then, when I saw the book, I've actually watched season 1 of the Netflix series and thoroughly enjoyed it. So I was like, I want to see, I want to read what started it all. And it is a very good read. I highly suggest it to anyone who's willing to give fantasy, a try. This is my favorite genre, is fantasy, so I knew beforehand I would enjoy it, and I was not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
In terms of manga, I'm reading Rent a Girlfriend. Hang on, let me open my manga app. Rent a Girlfriend, One Piece. I am tackling. That is my Moby Dick, I'll have to say. I'm tackling that. It's great, but it is a daunting task indeed.
Oh yeah.
Blue Exorcist, I am reading as well whenever they come up with new episodes, new chapters, excuse me. And I am rereading Berserk.
Now, have you Now, have you? Do you know what Vampire Hunter D is?
I've heard of it.
Oh. So Vampire Hunter D, really good anime. Both versions of it are some of the later like 2000s, like not a remake, it was just a sequel in its own right. If you ever find the concept for Berserk, it was actually the way that he designed it was really heavily inspired by Vampire Hunter D, which is a very funny thing to see because it's like reading, I'm like, wait a second, and it's interesting that they do that. And then you go forward and then in turn, how Bloodborne is inspired by Berserk. And it's a strange thing because within their own like independent fandoms, most people are like, oh, you're copying and Berserk is pure. But it's like, but look at, no, Berserk actually was influenced by stuff.
Yeah, I know in Dark Souls 2, even in Dark Souls 1, but in all the Dark Souls games, actually, they have what's classified as a ultra great sword. So ultra great swords are just literally these super heavy great swords that deal high physical damage, and they have a hidden statistic in the game called poise. So like if basically that poise sees your own, you get basically staggered type of deal. So they have high like poise damage, and there is this weapon called the Great Sword, and especially in Dark Souls 2, it looks like the Dragon Slayer from Berserk, and it's just like when I was playing that and I got that, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to wield this.
Well, what about you, Colin? What are you watching now?
I'm watching same thing, The Boys, Lovecraft Country, but I'm also watching Tig-Tone. That show is messed up and it's great. I keep describing it as it's a acid-induced fever dream of someone who loves like Adventure Time and Lord of the Rings. It's just over the top and weird and great. It's on, I think, Adult Swim, and supposedly HBO has it, which is really weird. But I just found a website that was like streaming it. But definitely good. Other than that one, yeah, I think I'm still on. I need to start finishing up the second season for American Gods. I was starting to read the book, but I actually kind of want to see where the season goes at the same time. That's really it for me right now. How about yourself?
I am excited to go see Heaven's Feel. Of course, Lovecraft Country. I've been debating, however, watching the new Elena the Witch anime. Seems pretty interesting. I've heard good things about it. And I'm also watching Fire Force.
I did say, thinking about anime and witches, I did watch Burn the Witch, the first episode. I really enjoyed it.
The thing about that, I read that as well. They don't give a lot of context to that first episode because technically I think that's like chapter 2 or 3 actually out of the 5 chapter series. But it more so gets into like the action part of it because the first chapter is really setting up like who these characters are, type of deal. And they called Balgo dragon-clad in the first episode, I know, and so they explain how he became dragon-clad.
Yeah, because I saw because I read the manga, or at least some of the manga, and that was like the weird dragon that they show. Like that was something that I was like, wait, that's way later, not way later, but at least a nice beat down the road. when they show up. But the action was really great, and the art style was gorgeous. Like it was.
Oh yes.
Like dare I say, better than Bleach's now, but yeah, no, like just like especially with like I'm a big fan of flight when it comes to like unorthodox flight. So Kiki's Delivery Service, Howl's Moving, Studio Ghibli has it. Like it follows the best way, but when there's like flight being done in a city. And so just that concept of just how it looks and the dynamic turns and so forth, I love it. Like love it. So.
I love because when I was reading the manga at first, I thought their brooms, or their dragons were just like brooms modeled after dragons, and then I realized they're just derpy looking dragons, like actual dragons that they're riding. I'm like, okay, that's really cool.
But Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there like pictures of them riding on scythes as well?
At one point I think there was.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Maybe that was just like a concept art, possibly.
It was like colored in, if I'm correct.
Let me see. I'll look for the picture.
I know. One thing I didn't like was it was just like a little nitpick because in the manga when they finally take down the big bad dragon, the guy who did that was their like squad leader or whatever, and I forget what he says in the anime, but in the manga he just goes, "Oops, did I do that?"
Oh jeez, Steve Urkel.
Yeah, basically just a Steve Urkel thing, and I was like, that's hilarious. They didn't do it in the anime, so I was a little sad. So that's more of a personal thing instead of just like, oh, this is bad because of blah blah blah. It's still wonderful, that battle especially. I really like when the what's the Ink Squad leader, like actual the head honcho of the Ink Squad.
Oh yeah.
Summon his dragon Rickenbacker. That was just such a beautiful lightning animation and how he just like came out of lightning and everything. It was just amazing.
I cannot find that picture. Maybe it didn't exist, but I feel like I saw it.
Oh no.
What about music?
What am I listening to?
Yeah.
Music-wise? Right now it's a lot of ambient music, so it's a collection of different artists. But I will say that it's directly tied to what this game is going to be coming up. Because like
Jacob.
Because I think like I would say three of the most like game moments of wow for me would be a lot of music is always attached to them, and I think it's just the reaction and how it plays out. If it does it well, coming from a guy's like, well, I have a negative production value, but if I can get the music keys to hit where they're supposed to hit and to relay the ideas, then it's great. So yeah, a lot of like gothic atmosphere and dread and
music
things
can
like
really make or break really anything, whether it's like a TV or video game.
Oh,
like,
it's
I would like to say, when you play music in your games, Khaled, it's really good. I enjoy it. But apparently when I play music in my games, everyone's like, turn it off.
I enjoy it. I'll say it can be too loud at times, but like other than that, just it's alright. I enjoy it.
Like just trying to live.
We're just a bunch of idiots, not really knowing what we're doing. We're literally just. It's not like we're searching for a light in the dark. We're literally in the light, searching for a light because we have blindfolds on, and we're too dumb to reach around our heads and just take it off.
They're rolling with the hits, even though they could just be standing to the side and not be getting hit by anything.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, at least you're gonna get stronger by that concept.
Yes.
That's debatable. You think we would learn from our past mistakes too, but we've shown that we have not.
In your case, you're the one I like to traumatize with your, like, with things that I give you. You're like, oh, this is so cool. I'm like, yeah, it is, isn't it? It's really cool, isn't it?
I hate you. My orb. Oh man, I wonder what I can do. Kills a child right in front of me. Uses it again and panic, calls the bird over. What did you do? I can't speak.
So I found the scythe writing, but I'll leave it at that.
Whoa.
It's the official artwork. Just surprising.
Would like to see it if you will send it.
Yeah, well, I'll send it. I'll try to see if I can find the other one, because the other one I think was a little bit cooler. I would have to say that is one thing about a DM, that there's things that I will allow, but I don't vocalize, because I feel like not vocalizing it also adds to the agency of a player. So the cool things in mind. So I don't know.
I will say Jacob tried to give me some BS cool item earlier. Some stupid sword that, could either, kill something in one hit, but you have to roll against it, so like if you roll like a nat 20, basically you kill a thing in one hit, but if you don't, it kills you. And like the dude's like,
no matter what, no matter what, the sword would have killed it in one hit.
Oh yeah,
but whether you lived or not was determined by the 20.
Yeah, and the dude who was going to give it to me was this demigod named Eros, and he was like, "You want this?" I was like, "Bruh, if I can't give my life away with this multiple times, I don't want it. It's a piece of garbage, in my opinion. That thing belongs in the trash."
It's funny.
He's called that trash. It was so rude.
It was trash. Doesn't Matt's character technically have that sword?
He has the broken version of it. If he wanted to use it, he would have to repair it in some way or fashion.
Let me see. Well, I found the original as well. So I send them to you real quick, so ye may behold.
The glory.
Now, going back to Tasha though, Josh. Now we were talking about it and like passing. But was there anything that kind of stuck out of like, oh, I actually wanted to look more into that thing?
One thing that I really want to look into more, because I know it's supposed to add more to the classes themselves, like more subclasses and like class features. Am I right?
Correct.
I really that probably to me strikes out the most. It's just wanting to look more into that, because there's always it's always cool to see what each class can do, but also being a player and whatnot, seeing subclasses can help in a sense decide what you want your next character to be. So it's always, to me, like if I see something that really just sticks out in me, I'm like, I could develop a character around this. Because I was looking at the barbarians, and one of them is the The Storm Front Barbarian, I think is what it is. I can't remember what exactly it's called, but you choose a nature, whether it's of a storm, whether it's like a desert storm, a tundra storm, or a sea storm type of deal. And every time you go into like your berserk, your rage form, depending on what storm you chose, you have a different effect. And so what really stuck out to me was the sea storm, because whenever you rage, you strike down lightning. Once you get to another certain level, you can breathe underwater, and so forth. And so I really want to develop a pirate, a notorious pirate, being that type of deal. And I also, going further, looking into other things, was possibly thinking making a multi-class into a level, probably just one level, but a warlock that serves the Raven Queen, because when you serve the Raven Queen, you actually get a permanent Raven familiar, and so that to me just completes like a pirate aesthetic. So instead of having, the whole parrot, you have just like this raven, with you that can just mimic and do things for you. And it's just, I don't know, just very cool to just create like a pirate type of deal.
Yeah. So that's that barbarian path of I think it's Path of the Storm. But I would say that the one that's like Sea Storm, the lightning, is just a very concept because of just how epically angsty, rage filled it could be. For like, you like look at a person and then you strike them with lightning. So that concept of just like screaming, "Feel my rage," and then just ignite them with lightning, and then going into the rage just to show just how dangerous.
I know. Also, once you get to another level, I think you can spend a bonus action to once per long rest, I think it is, to literally make them do, I think it's either a strength or constitution. I'm leaning more towards constitution, a saving throw, or else they're hit with, as described, the full force of the ocean, and they're not prone on the ground.
Very cool aesthetic. Yeah, that one was for that's in I want to say Xanathar's has that on somewhere. But
it's cool. It's cool looking at the like I said, the classes, and seeing what each subclass can do, and for like clerics and paladins and like warlocks, what each pact can do and whatnot. So you can kind of, in a sense, start building your character already.
Exactly.
What were you gonna say?
Oh no, just the time itself.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
2
We are nearing the end.
Like it.
Thank you.
So again, we stream every Tuesday and every other Friday, 10:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. If you would like to tune in, just have a good attitude, tune in. If you wish to talk in the chat, go ahead. I'm always looking at the chat.
But behave, or else I'm gonna get you.
Yes, Josh is a moderator in the chat. He is always watching. But for the most part, that's it. If anyone out there is watching and you haven't followed, that would be very much appreciated if you hit the follow button. And I think we're going to call it here. It's been about an hour and a half, so.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
No problemo.
Alrighty, that was the PiP episode 6, and everyone have a good night.
Good night.